Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As Mr. Havlicek told you, I'm a French guy coming from Paris. But if you have noticed, I have a Czech first name, Borek, because actually my mother was born here in Prague, so I'm a half-blood Czech guy. But actually, I live in Paris, in France. I don't speak no much words in Czech, I'm sorry, so I won't understand you if you speak to me in Czech, except ahoj, jak se máš, but that's all, okay? So I'm an IT guy. I am what we call a system networks and security engineer, an IT production engineer in France. I'm working in a company which allows customers to buy or sell some stocks on the markets. So I'm quite an IT specialist of security aspects in computer science. So today I am here to talk about ICT security. I'm here to define what is ICT, what is security with you. So, this is an overview, my roadmap for today. I will give you an introduction of ICT security, and I will talk about risks that exist in ICT security and protection we can have, and you can have here to fight, to struggle with risk, ICT risk in security. So, once again, if you have any question, do not hesitate to stop me, okay? Put your head in your hair and stop me and ask your question, okay? I'm not here to blow your mind with a complex definition of ICT security, so if you don't understand something, do not hesitate to stop me, okay? So, what is ICT? Oh, thanks. Děkuji. Another word that I know in Czech. So ICT means information and communication technology, okay? It's in computer science, we talk more frequently of IT, okay? Information technologies. I'm an IT guy, okay? A guy who works in an IT environment, okay? So ICT means information and communication technologies. A group of technologies that allows you to communicate between each others. For that, you need networks, for example, wires, Wi-Fi hotspot, etc. Telecommunication hardware, computer. A computer is the best example we can have of ICT technologies. Terminals, smartphones, and so on. Also software, and I will talk about it later. So ICT is a group, a huge group of technologies, of machines that allows you to communicate. Okay, that's all. ICT, in my opinion, is a way to save space storage. Actually, ICT is not only mechanical, it's not only a group of machines, it's a group of concepts, actually. So, thanks to ICTs, to all technologies you have, you can save space storage, because when you want to store some data on your computer, sometimes you try to save a maximum space on your computer. For that, you have algorithm, you have programs for that. Save processing time, because when you use a machine, you want to have a machine as fast as possible, okay? Because you want to save some processing time. You know what processing is? The ability for a machine to calculate something, okay? So the faster it is, the more processing time you save, okay? Shrink information. I mean, when you have a quantity of information, you want to be as small as possible. For that, you need algorithm for that. And optimize information access. Actually, ICT technologies is the ability for you to access to any kind of information, which means that when you want to go to Facebook, you have a network for that. I see a lot of laptops in this precise classroom, thanks to Wi-Fi hotspots here, just here. This is a Wi-Fi hotspot. This is the kind of machine that you have in an ICT environment, okay? A machine that allows you to connect, to have an access to any kind of machine, okay? When you go to www.facebook.com, okay? Through a Wi-Fi hotspot access, you access to web server that gives you the web page of Facebook, okay? So optimize information access. But what is security? I've just defined you what is ICT. I have now to define what is security. Actually, in computer science, in IT environment, security is a group of 3 pillars. The first one is confidentiality. Because a data is considered as secure when it is confidential. Okay? For example, when you talk to someone, you don't want anyone else to understand or hear what you say. This is confidentiality, the art of hiding or the art of encrypting a data, any kind of data. Integrity, which means that when I talk to someone, not especially with my voice, but with my computer, when I talk to my bank, website bank, I don't want someone to understand what I use on my network. I don't want anybody to modify the data I am transferring from between my computer and the bank website. So integrity is the art of not modifying the data I am using. Okay? And the last one, availability. Availability is a very important pillar, and I will develop it because when you want to access to a website, Facebook or your bank website, you want it to be up, which means that anytime you want to access to it, it is supposed to be available all time long. And for that, we have to define some access level to your environment in order to avoid denial of service. I will describe it later. So once again, security is a group of 3 major pillars. Okay? Confidentiality, integrity, availability. If you don't have all of them, you don't have security on your network, on your environment. Is that clear? Even in Czech, say ne. Okay. An example of a funny art of hiding. I don't see it very well, but look at this sentence. President embargo rolling should have immediate notice. Grave situation affecting international law. Statement foreshadows ruin of many neutrals. Yellow journals unifying national excitement immensely. Okay, this is a sentence which has a... you understand the sentence, but actually this is exactly the kind of hiding information, okay? Because if you take only the first letter of each word, P, E, R, S, you have a new sentence. So that's what we call steganography, okay? This is a clear data, you can read it easily, and thanks to an algorithm, a very simple algorithm, I take each first letter of each word, I have a new sentence. So this is a clear hidden data within another data, okay? So that's what we call steganography, the art of hiding a data in clear mode, okay? So you have a clear sentence, and thanks to this clear sentence and a normal algorithm, you get another one, a hidden new sentence. So this is completely clear, okay? Another funny one with an image, a picture. On the left, you have just a simple picture of a tree, okay? And thanks to algorithm, you can hide another image into the first one, which mean that actually this cat is hidden in this image, okay? I can explain you with decomposition of each pixel of this image, but this is very easy to hide another information, another picture in another one, okay? That's exactly what did the terrorists during the first attacks of the Twin Towers, okay? They send messages into other pictures. This is exactly what is steganography, the ability to hide another data, the data into another one, okay? Thanks to a text, thanks to an image, okay? So you hide a hidden sentence into another one, or you hide another image into another one. So you hide any data into another one. But this is clear, okay? This is not encrypted. If you have the right algorithm, you can find the cat sleeping on the couch. Is that clear? And of course, you have also encryption algorithm. Many computers have a lot of encryption algorithm. When you connect to a website, secure website, just like for example HTTPS protocol, you use algorithm that encrypt the data and ensure you that anybody else will never understand what you get as a data. But another way to encrypt is a funny one, is what we called during the World War II the code talker. This is very simple. During the World War II, the Americans' army used Apache, you know, the Indians in America, okay? And they were using their own algorithm between two boats. They were talking in Apache language, which means that even if a German intercepts the message, he will never understand the Apache language, okay? So thanks to Indians, American Indians, thanks to their own language, Apache, they were able to encrypt a data, okay? Military data. This is a grave in America, talking about exactly the Apache guy that were fighting for Americans during the World War II. So you have algorithm to encrypt the data or use another kind of algorithm. For example, using a dead language. Apache, for example. But don't worry, because once you will integrate a company, you will be hired into a company, security won't be your duty. It will be the duty, the responsibility of one guy or girl. In my company, this is a girl, lady. This is what we call a CISO, a Chief Information and Security Officer, CISO, okay? Which means that once you integrate a company, this guy or this lady, so organization presence, ensure a security strategy in your company. This is his or her duty in the company. If anything happens on the network, it will be her or his duty, responsibility, okay? So in some days, for you, once you will integrate a company, you will be asked to follow a training in security. And the CISO will be the guy or the girl which will ensure the company that you are properly trained for security. And it can happen frequently. In my company, every employee are asked to be trained every year in security, okay? So this is the duty of a CISO, of a Chief Information and Security Officer. A safety up to the workplace, which means that once you will integrate a company, you will be asked to be as clean as possible. I'm sorry to say that to you, but there is a policy that is called a clean desk policy. Why does it exist? This is very simple. Here is a funny example of a rubbish desk they can find in some companies. Even some searchers in some university have this kind of desks. You know, a large amount of papers anywhere in the room. A clean desk policy exists because when you have this kind of desk in your company, you have a lot of papers that gets a lot of information regarding your security, because I know that a lot of employees write down their passwords on post-it, on papers and everywhere, and put it everywhere on the desk. Okay, I have to connect to Moodle. Well, I don't remember my password of Moodle. Well, I will write it on paper and I will put it here, and every time I will have to connect to the Moodle, well, I will have a paper that will remind me the password, okay? A clean desk policy is the obligation to stop it definitely, which means that once you leave your desk at night, you leave your company, your desk is supposed to be completely cleaned, empty, no paper at all. It is supposed to be burned, okay? So clean desk policy is the ability to have a proper environment in your company. Okay? You destroy everything. Somebody in my company came at night and stole some papers in my company. So it can happen very frequently. So no post-it, no paper, no password, nothing. Clean, completely clean. So let's talk about threats now. The first one is equipment destruction. As funny as it can get, this is very usual, very frequent to have distraction. Actually, if you don't close your door to anyone in your company, anybody can come in and destroy anything. I know it's quite paranoid, but it exists, really. So for that, in order to avoid equipment destruction, you have to control your access, to put an access control to your company, okay? You can have a badge or biometric imprint, okay? You put your hand and then you can enter in your company, and so on. You can have also a protection against natural disasters, and I will talk about it at the end of the presentation, and also robbery, because once you have an access control to your company, you can be sure that robbery problem is solved, okay? Or you have a trace, a log of what happens in your environment. So a logging, an access control to everything that happens on your environment, in your company. Social engineering, the funniest one, but most destructive one, unfortunately. What is social engineering? I was talking about security a few slides later. Social engineering is a funny fact which allows me, for example, if I talk to anybody, a random person in this classroom, in this precise classroom, if I ask you, okay, give me your first name, the name, I don't know, of your father, your mother, your dog, give me your birth date, the place where you were born, etc. If you give personal information, all of you, I'm sure that I will get quite 50% of your personal passwords. And we'll talk about it later. Why? Because people don't want to take care of the strength of a password. They use personal data for that, okay? For example, my dog's name is Jack, okay? So I will get Jack in my password in the Moodle, for example, because it is easy to remember, okay? So if I talk to anybody here, if I ask personal question, I will find a lot of personal passwords also. I will use social engineering, the ability to talk with you, simply talk, okay, and get personal information. This is a human fault, putting personal data into personal passwords, okay? This is an information collection. I can also have a hostile situation if you don't answer to me, okay? I can be very rude. And familiarity exploit, which means if I'm kind with you, if I'm just, for example, okay, I forgot my password of Moodle. I am one of your students. Can you help me to connect to your Moodle, please? Because I don't remember my password. Can you give me your login password? If I'm very kind with you, can you please help me? You know, familiarity exploit, okay? And the funniest one is get a job there. It exists that some people try to hire a company only in order to steal some information, okay? They look at the newspaper, find a job announced, okay? Get hired in the company, it becomes an employee in the company, and then try to steal a lot of information, professional information, okay? So get a job there, that's quite what I'm doing here. I'm a teacher, a lecturer for you. But if I were a hacker, a stealer, I would try at the end of this lecture to talk with you, okay, ask some personal question and get a lot of personal information regarding this university, regarding your environment, okay? So this is social engineering, the ability just simply to talk with someone in order to get some information. Network attacks. This is a technical slide, but I will try to get it simple. Sniffing. What is sniffing? Sniffing is the ability, just imagine that this laptop is mine. Okay, this is my laptop. I come with my laptop. I come with a wire and connect to, there isn't any tunnel. But for example, I try to connect to a network in your university and then sniff, which means, okay, my network card is plugged in your network and I just try to hear what's happening on the network. That's what we call sniffing, okay? Just intercepting what there is on the network. I sniff. I just get as much as possible information on your network. This is true also for the Wi-Fi hotspot access, because I have also a Wi-Fi network card in my laptop, so I can sniff the activity that is present just in the air. Okay, this is sniffing. I get every packet that is present on the network through a wire or through the air with a Wi-Fi hotspot. Okay? Just sniffing is enough to steal some information, clear information. Security is a fight against denial of service. Denial of service is the ability to change a behavior of a service. For example, you have a Moodle server on your network. When you connect to the address of your Moodle, you ask your website to be responsive, okay, to be present. You want it to be up, okay? Denial of service is the ability, for example, to plug my computer on your network and try to attack, okay? Send a lot of packets on your server and try to get it down in order that when you try to connect to your Moodle, you can't connect to it anymore because it is down. This is a denial of service. Spoofing and flooding. Flooding is when you try to send a lot of information in the network to get it down too. Okay? So this is a list of network attacks that exist. Simple one. Password cracking. So, I was talking about social engineering 2 slides ago. As I was telling you, social engineering, and I insist on that, if I talk to a big quantity of people here, I would be able to get personal data and then personal passwords of yours. Okay? This is very simple, and I will demonstrate it later. Brute force is for guys who don't want to spend time on social engineering. This is the ability to try every password that exists on Earth. Moodle is a website that accepts a password of 8 characters. Okay, I will try every kind of password that have 8 characters. This is a long list of passwords, okay? But this is brute force. I try every password that exists. Dictionary, I will show it next, yes, is just simply a list of passwords that I have, and I'm sure that in this list your password is present. Dictionary list is very easy to get on the internet. Okay? Major simple passwords are present in this kind of file. A dictionary passwords is a list, is a file you can download on the internet. Just on Google type dictionary file and you will get it very easily. Multi-gigabyte of file. And you have a list of simple passwords that allows you to connect to most of unsecured websites. And keylogger, I will talk about it later. Dictionary is a very big problem for us because, as I was telling you, people don't really care about security. They want to connect to a website and don't want to remind a very complex password. Here is the list of the 25 worst passwords that exist previous year, okay? And I see some people of you smiling, say, oh my God, mine is here. Please, if you see one of your passwords here, change it right now. Because this is just a small dictionary, okay? A dictionary of 25 passwords lists, okay, that allows you to connect to major unsecure websites. If you have your password here, change it right now. Password has trends. This is the worst password list of 2015, And as you can notice, you can find passwords linked to the actuality of movies, Star Wars, Han Solo, Princess, and so on. If a movie get out, people say, oh, okay, I've just seen Star Wars yesterday. Okay, my login will be Star Wars. It is very easy to remember. Do never use this password. The most common one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you have it, change it right now, okay? What is my password? Okay, password, that will be simple. Okay, no, change it right now. And I will give you examples how to have a strong password to remember. I know this is very boring to remember that your password is A, X, interrogation mark, space, underscore, etc. I will give you some simple examples to remember very complex password. As I was telling you, keylogger is a password cracking way. Why? If I were a hacker, I would try to steal some of your passwords, because if you are, I don't know, a future director of your company, I will try to connect to your network and steal some professional information, okay? If you are a president, director of your company, I will try to steal some personal passwords, some professional passwords. For that, you have two ways to do this. The first one is a software. A keylogger is just a simple password, a simple software that is installed into your computer, which means that every time you touch, you strike a key on your keyboard, okay, the keylogger will write it in a file and then send it to the internet, okay. A keylogger is a software that allows you to remember every key that is struck on your computer. So if you type www.facebook.com and then you type your email and then you type your password, the keylogger will remember everything and send it to the internet, okay. It can be a software, it can be also a hardware, which means that if I plug a keylogger here and I plug then my keyboard on that, it will everything you type on this keyboard, okay? So keylogging is very dangerous. This is why I've just put it here. It's a simple way to crack a password because you remember every key you strike. And you can have in keylogger 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 also. And be careful, this is a warning sent by the FBI. When you buy some very low-cost machines, for example, a charger for your smartphone, you say, oh, I forgot my charger for my smartphone. I will buy a new one. Oh, this one costs only €1. Cool. I will charge my smartphone with that. And when you see what is inside, it's not only a charger, it's also a keylogger, which means that once you plug it in your computer, smartphone, tablet, and so on, actually you connect a keylogger to your peripheral, okay? Which means that every time you type on something on your machine, this charger will send it to the internet. It can be connected to a Wi-Fi hotspot. It can be connected to anything. Okay, so be careful. I do not ask you to go through every kind of machine that you use, but just be aware that it exists. Okay. And every time I give you an announce, I give you the source. Okay, so just have a look on every threads that exists for keylogging. This is very impressive. That's why some peripheral costs only €1, because actually you don't spend a lot of money for that, but the password you send costs a lot of money for those who steal your information. It represents a lot of money for that, for them, sorry. Malwares. I hope that most of you know what is a virus, what is a worm, what is a Trojan, a keylogger also. A malware is a software that can destroy, alter some data in your computer. This is the most known of software that exists in your computer, but I insist, for me, it is very, very, very important that you know what is a virus, what is a worm, what is a Trojan, and what is the difference between each of them. In computer science, a virus is just like the biological one, okay? It's a software that is inserted into another one, okay? Just like in my body, okay? If I catch a virus, the virus will try to attach to another piece of my body. It can exist in standalone mode, okay? It has to be connected to another program, okay? So a virus is a malicious program inserted into another one. It can exist in standalone mode. Biological virus analogy, it is self-replicated function, which means that once it is installed in your body or in your computer, it tries to replicate itself, okay, itself. And why? Because it has to be destructive, okay? And the problem with viruses is its detection, which means that once you install an antivirus in your computer, the antivirus will try to find a virus in your computer. For that, it will try to find what we call a signature of a virus, which means that once it is installed, it will be self-replicated, okay? It will be completely identical from one machine to another one. Since viruses have been invented for computer, techniques have evolved, which means that now viruses are polymorphic. What does it mean? It means that every time it is self-replicated, it changes every time, which means that once an antivirus detects a virus, its signature changes on each machine, which is very complicated for an antivirus to detect to every machine because it has a polymorphic ability, okay? The ability to change to every machine it is installed, okay? So this is a very big problem for antivirus software. Computer worm. As I was telling you, a virus is inserted into another one. A worm is a standalone program. It doesn't need another one to exist, okay? It spreads through the network, and it can be based on a security vulnerability that is present into your computer. For example, your operating system, Windows, Mac OS X, even Linux. Viruses, and I insist on that, viruses, yes, exist on every kind of platforms. Please, people who have a Macintosh, keep telling me, okay, I have a Macintosh, I'm not concerned by viruses. This is completely wrong, okay? Because viruses exist for Macintosh, for Linux, for Windows, for smartphones, Android, iOS, and etc., okay? If someone tells you, okay, I have a Mac, so I'm not concerned by viruses, punch him on the nose, please, for me. And Trojan, like the real one, a Trojan is just a simple program that is not dangerous at all for your computer. A Trojan is just a program that is installed in your computer, open a door in your computer, and then install other programs that are malicious. But a Trojan, like the real one, when soldiers were inserted into the Trojan, Trojan software has exactly the same behavior. It is a software that is installed in your computer in order to contact and install other programs in your computer, okay? So finally, the danger comes from what it appeals to, okay? Backdoor mechanism, which means that it opens backdoors and then install other programs in your computer. So a Trojan is not dangerous at all for your computer, but it can contact and appeals other programs to do it. Here is a very weird statistics about viruses. The global infection rate during the first 3 months of 2014 was 32%, with China on the first place with the lead of 52 persons. This means that 1 in 3 machines worldwide is currently compromised by malwares. Can you just imagine that? In 2014, one-third machine on the world were concerned by viruses, by malware. Even if you don't notice it, because you can have a Trojan installed in your computer that is connected to other viruses and install it in your computer. Once again, you can reach the information, the source, but this is just weird, okay? A third of machines present on the Earth, in the World Wide Web, is concerned by viruses, with a lead of 52% in China. Can you just imagine that? The half of machines in China is infected. I mean, it was true during the year 2014. It has probably evolved now. So be careful, okay? Main sign of infection. For me, this is very important that you react when you see a problem in your computer. Something that is not normal in your computer is when you have unwanted computer restart, and it happens very frequently. I have some friends sometimes who tell me, my goodness, my Windows keeps rebooting all time long. Okay, then install antivirus and do a check, because in my opinion, your computer is completely infected by a virus, okay? So this is a major sign of infection, when your computer keeps rebooting all time long. Displaying unwanted advertisement or pages. You know, when you get an ad you never wanted to, even when your browser is closed. You close the Firefox, Opera, Internet Explorer, Safari for Mac OS X users, and so on. And you have an ad that is displayed all time long. When you have this behavior, this is a sign of infection. When your browser, once again Firefox and so on, has its homepage changed. You have a page that you never known, that is known your own page, and it's changed very easily. I mean, this is a main sign of infection. Abnormal disk and network activity. You do nothing on your computer and you see the light activity of your hard disk drive that keeps blinking, okay? What have you done? I'm doing nothing on my computer and my disk is working all time long. This is not normal, because when you do nothing, you ask your peripheral to do so, okay? When you do nothing, your hard disk drive is supposed to do nothing also. Program start or stop unexpectedly. Okay, I'm not supposed to have launched this application. It has just launched. I've never asked it to do so. So this is a normal. A brutal loss of available space on your disk, of course, and unwanted data in the clipboard. This is funny, but sometimes it happens that you have an image present in your clipboard that you have never copied, and it's present in your clipboard. Because when you want to steal some information, the virus can just have a, how do we call that in English? A copy of your desktop, okay, and then send it to internet. When you type your password, for example, it take a picture of your desktop and then send it to the internet. Copy it in the clipboard. No question? Have you ever concerned about this kind of behavior, and at least once? I see one yes. Okay. So if you have this kind of infection signs, please install an antivirus, an anti-rogue software in your computer, and then scan it. Email exploits. This is, for me, the most important part regarding security parts of this presentation. I want you to know what is a spam, what is a phishing, and what is a hoax. Because for me, if you don't know, whoa, Donald Trump has been killed.
Oh my God.
This is a hoax. You've been, I'm sorry. This is exactly the definition of a hoax. I mean, giving you a wrong information and then you panic. Oh my goodness, I'm talking about Trump. But this is the precise behavior of a hoax. I'm giving you a wrong information and then you panic. You go on the network and you verify an information. This is what I call the before. I've just missed it. I don't get it. Never mind. When you want to have a lot of information on your network, you create a hoax. That's what I've just done now, okay? I gave you wrong information, everybody panic, and then get the network down, because you get a lot of information that can get your network down, okay? So I hope my example was very effective. Phishing, I will give you an example, but a phishing is a mail that is supposed to steal some information of yours and spam. Here is an example. Yeah, an example here. First of all, I insist on that a mail for me is an open door to the ransomwares. I talked before, of malwares. A ransomware is a software that can have another behavior in a computer. For example, I have a Trojan installed in my computer. Okay, it can then download the virus or a worm. Okay, it can also download what we call a ransomware. What is it? It is a program that will be installed in your computer and then will encrypt every file present in your computer. Okay, for example, your report, your document that you have to give to your administration tomorrow, it will encrypt everything in your computer. And when it is finished, it will give you an ad telling you, okay, you have been spied, you have been encrypted, and I can give you the key that will decrypt all your files if you give me 100 euros. Okay, for example. So a ransomware is a software that will encrypt everything in your computer and then will ask you some money to decrypt everything. Why am I telling you this? Because this is exactly the kind of software that is present nowadays in every emails. The ability to steal some information, some money from you through emails. So you can encrypt file in your computer. The most known software that exists today is called Lucky, okay, and it still exists today. Here is an example of Lucky. I will show it later. So you receive a mail. If you send the program that is attached to the email, this is finished. Okay, every file will be encrypted, and if you don't pay, you will never be able to decrypt your files. Bank data theft. This is a ransomware, for example, that is called Dridex, that still exists today, so be careful. Dridex is a software that is installed that will never destroy your computer, that is very silent, okay, that is hidden. And once you connect to your bank account, it will keylog everything you type on your keyboard and then send it to the internet. So it steals money without being able to notice it, okay? So bank data theft, a software that is able to know where you connect, what kind of bank you connect to, and steal your personal login password to connect to your account. Blocking the blocking the start of a machine without a prior payment, which means that once you stop your machine and you start it again, the ransomware will say, stop, okay, I don't want your computer to start until you give me money for that. And if you don't give money, you will never be able to start your computer. And then you pay thanks to a bank transfer or overbilled text. For example, you send a text that costs 10 euros to decrypt every file in your computer. So be careful. Here is an example that one of my employees received in my company. We have machines for that. I mean machines that are able to stop, to intercept this kind of email. and I will tell you why. Hi Dorsey, blah 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 blah. You have an archive file, and in this archive file you have this one, a JavaScript. This is very dangerous. Please, once you will be hired in a company, I would like you, and please remember what I'm telling you right now. Your mailbox is the first vector of infections. Today we have strong antiviruses, but it will never be able to stop everything. It is impossible. The main definition of security is that we are not able to guarantee your security completely. Okay? So once you will be hired in a company, the CISO, the Chief Information of Security Officer, is here to install machines to protect you, but you will be also asked to protect yourself if the machine is defective. Okay? Here is an example of a DREDX mail. And how can you stop it very easily? Sometimes in your email you have attached files that is very current. Okay? If you have this kind of extension in your file, drop it right now. If you have a .exe file, .rcr, .gs, .vbs, drop it, because this is a piece of program or directly a program, which means that if you launch it, you launch a program that can install anything in a computer. It can be a malware, it can be a virus, it can be a worm, it can be anything. Okay? So if you see this, destroy it right now. This is what is present here. Okay, this is a JavaScript, and a lot of operating systems are able to launch a JavaScript. Then be aware of this extension .doc, .docm, .xls, .ppt. I know that most of you use Microsoft Office file. Okay. A Word file, Excel file, a PowerPoint file. It can be dangerous in some cases. I ask you to be aware that a correct file coming from Microsoft Office is a file that has as an extension a .docx, a .xlsx, and a .pptx. Okay? This is completely secured. Sometimes in this document, Word file, Excel file, PowerPoint file, I mean all the version of Microsoft Office, we can install what we call macro into this file. What is it? For example, here in this Word file that is called hellocalc97.doc, in this file there is no text at all, but there is a macro, which is a piece of program, okay, that you can put into your Office document. In most cases, it will help you to do a calculation, for example. If you have a text, it will give you some more abilities. But if I were a hacker, I would try to put some malwares in this piece of file, okay? So if I were a hacker, I would put a macro in this file and then do what I want. I can download a virus, I can do what I want, okay? And this is only true with .doc extension. So if you see .doc, .xls, .ppt, and if you don't know the sender of the email, beware, okay? And that's what happens sometimes with Lucky ransomware. You receive a file that is a .doc file extension, you open it, and then it's finished. Because a macro is launched and then execute a piece of code that install virus or anything, or worse, a ransomware, which means that it will encrypt everything in your computer and then you will be unable to decrypt it until you pay. So please, if you see a .exe, a .rcr, .gs, or .vbs, drop it right now. And be aware also of .zip and .rar file extension because this is an archive file which can contain sometimes a worse file. This is the example of DRIDX. This is a DRIDX attack. This is an archive file that is present into the mail. You expand it and then you find a .gs file, and when you launch it, this is finished. It's not usual to have a archive file in your mails. I mean, in your professional mail. So, once again, you have to delete these mails which ask you for an immediate answer. This is precisely the behavior of phishing mail. When you receive a phishing mail, the content of the mail will ask you to answer very quickly. Oh my God, your mailbox is blocked, your access is blocked. Please click to the link and then you will be able to unlock it. It is always urgent. Phishing behavior is, for example, when you ask for an immediate answer. Be aware that your bank account is closed. If you don't click on this link, it will be blocked forever. Okay? So if you see a mail that asks you an immediate answer, be aware that it could be a phishing mail. A mail that are full of mistakes. It happens many times. Actually, most of phishing mails are written in other countries, which means sometimes in Africa, South America, and so on. And they don't know really how to write or to spell some English words, Czech words, French words, etc. When you receive a mail, it contains a lot of mistakes. It can be, for me, a demonstration of a phishing mail, because sometimes, in many cases, it is written in other countries and then sent to some specific countries. For example, if a South American country tries to send a phishing campaign in your country, it will try to write Czech mails, but they don't really know how to speak Czech, so they will use some Czech words, but with a lot of mistakes. Okay? So if you see that your mail is full of mistakes, be aware that it could be a phishing mail. Contains links to weird addresses, suspicious domain names. For example, if you don't click to this precise link in this mail, your bank account will be closed. And then you see in the email link something like an IP address, something very weird, with a very long domain name that is not usual for your bank account website access. If you see it, you can think that this is a phishing mail. And of course, you don't really know the sender. Mary Pierce sent you a mail, but I don't know her. Drop it. Protections. Business continuity planning. So this is absolutely not a technical approach. So I will never talk about computer here. What is a business continuity planning? What we call a BCP in companies. A BCP is a business continuity, which means that you are able to continue your business even if you are in front of a huge risk, of a major risk. So a business continuity planning is the ability for a company to continue your business even if you're attacked, if you're fired, you have a fire in your building, and so on. I will describe it later. This is a risk analysis, and this is a list of preventive solutions in your company, which means that, for example, if this university had business continuity planning, it would be able to propose you lectures, courses, even if your building were burned. Okay? If you have a business continuity planning, you have the ability to continue your business even if your building is burned. Okay? Why do we do that? about 80% of companies unprepared to a major disaster disappear within 3 years after the disaster. You can check the source every time I give you a definition. This is just enormous. Can you just imagine that? If your company burns and you're not prepared to that, 80% of companies not prepared to a major risk will disappear within 3 years. Following the destruction of its IT and telecoms, you know now what is ICT, a company will disappear beyond a 72 hours shutdown in 40% of cases. So if your IT, your website, for example, is down more than 72 hours, you have 40% to disappear. Your company will disappear because every customers will go elsewhere in another company. 33% of companies still do not have a business continuity planning to deal with major disasters. It's worldwide. Okay? So if you don't have rules, you don't have planning for that, you're sure you have 33% to disappear if you have a major crash. So what is it about? What is a major crash, for example, a major threat? For example, an attack. I know this is very extreme. I'm conscious of that. But if you're not prepared to that, if it happens to your company, you're sure that your business will stop within 3 years. Okay? For example, the attacks during the year 2001. If your company is just next to a dangerous zone, okay? If you have a breakdown, if your IT is not installed properly, if you are in front of hackers, if you are in a zone that is concerned by natural disaster, this is a picture of Paris a few months ago. Okay, so if my company is here, you can say hi to your company. And social strikes. If people go on strike and destroy everything. I know this is, once again, very extreme, but if you're not prepared to that, your company will disappear within 3 years. That is what we call a BCP, a business continuity planning. The ability to have preventive solution in order to ensure your business, even if it is in front of a major threat. Okay? I can give you a Parisian example that happened some months ago. There were our river, Seine, was flooding, which means that it went out of its bed. Okay. In this case, public transport were blocked, which means not this year, but in the year 1910, every subways were stopped. And this is very, for us, it is a very big problem because if you stop your public transport, your employees will never go to your company. It will never work and your activity can stop. Okay? Your employees become isolated. Okay? If the river is flooding, you can have also a power outage. No more electricity, no more telecommunication. Okay? If you're not prepared to that, if you have not any backup site for your company, it will stop. So you have to be prepared. And of course, you have to spend a lot of money for that. I know that a BCP costs a lot of money. It means that imagine if your university were concerned by BCP, it will buy another site next to this one and then transfer every student in order to ensure the business of your university. In the case of companies, this is a bit different because even if employees can go to the company, they can have a remote access, which means that if I don't know the river is flooding, you can stay at home and connect to your company through a web access, okay, and then get your desktop in front of you. and different size distribution, because if you have a lot of money, you can have different sites, and then dispatch every employees in every kind of sites. Site distribution. Why am I talking about it? There is a rule. As I was telling you, security is a group of 3 pillars: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. If your system is not available, it is not secure. Okay? There is a measurement of availability that we call the 9 rule. If your IT, your network, or your website is available at 90%, you have only 9, it will be up 36 days per year, okay? And the more 9 you have, the more availability you get, okay? But the more 9 you want, the more money you spend to have an available environment, okay? This one costs a lot of money. You have 7-9. This is the kind of ability that Google, or what the GAFA is. GAFA is Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, the major actors in the ICT. GAFA, Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon. They are the only ones that are able to ensure availability with a 7-9. Okay, so you're sure that Google websites will be only down less than 3 seconds per year.
Last week it was 2 hours.
Sorry?
Last week it was 2 hours.
Yeah, that's left told it to me. But it was not Google, it was probably a routing problem in Czech Republic. Google was up in other countries, so for me it's not the problem of Google, it was a network problem in Czech Republic, probably. Strong password. I know that some of you laughed some slides ago when I showed you the worst 2015 password that were present. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 password, Han Solo, Star Wars, and so on. I advise you to have always, all time long, a strong password. And I will explain you how to do it very easily, because I know this is very boring to remember a password that is very complicated. Okay? A strong password, for me, is a mix of different family of characters, which are lowercase characters. Try to write something with a big word. So lowercase characters, A, uppercase characters, A, number, 1, mathematical symbols, plus, for example, and punctuation. So a strong password can be built thanks to these 5 groups of characters. For me, a strong password is at least a mix of 3 of them. Okay? So please, I know that I am boring now, but I will ask you to still have this kind of password. At least have this mix of characters, which means -1, lowercase, uppercase, and numbers. And sometimes also punctuation. This is what we call a strong password, the ability to have a very long password with complicated characters and different kind of characters. Lowercase 1, uppercase 1, numbers, mathematical, and punctuation. Here is a very simple example of how we can create a very complex password. Just imagine that if you connect to your Moodle environment, you have this password. This is very complicated. This is a strong password because I have an uppercase character, I have a lowercase character, I have a number, and I have a punctuation. So I have 4 groups of different characters. This is a strong password because it is very long, and I have different kind of groups of characters. How can I construct this kind of strong password? This is very simple. Perhaps some of you read some books or know some poetry, whatever. This is a very a sentence of Martin Luther King. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up. Okay, very known sentence. If you, as I was telling you during the introduction of this presentation, if you do some steganography, if you take the first letter of each word, I, H, A, D, and so on, and replace the number by its character, you get a strong password. So this is very easy for a human mind to remember a sentence. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up. Okay, very easy. And thanks to that, you construct a strong password. So please, for those of you who smiled when they saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, please remember a very simple password and construct a strong password thanks to that. This is a very simple algorithm. I, have, H, dream, D, and so on. Okay? And of course, this is the 4th times I come here in this university. I suppose that now this document is present in major networks. So I suppose that from now on, this password is present in the dictionary. Okay? So please do not use it. Create your own sentence. If you read some poetry or whatever, remember a very simple sentence and construct a password thanks to that. Password change policy. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to stop me. I have bad news. Password policy, you will be concerned by that once you will be integrated into a company. Because the CISO mission, for example, is to ensure its company to have a life limit of password, which means that if this is your password in your company, for example, you will be asked to change it very frequently. Life limit, in major of cases, is set to 3 months. Okay, which means that once you you integrate a company, your CISO will ask you to change it every 3 months, or more or less. It depends on the company. I will talk about safeties later. Using one-time password. I have an example here. My company gave me what we call an OTP. This is a key. On the key is written a number, okay? And I will write it now. 230198. Can you tell me if this is true?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to connect to my company in my personal environment, go on. This is my password. But it has just changed right now. Okay. OTP is a one-time password. This is a key, a dongle, some companies give to their employees. Okay. A password that has a lifetime, one-time password, which means that if I use it right now and someone steals my password and try to use it on his site, it will never be able to connect to my website because I've already used it. Okay, this is a one-time password, and it changes every minute. Okay, so even if I give you my personal password to connect to my professional environment, go on. This is finished. My password right now is this number. So I can give it to you. I don't care because it will change every minute. Okay? It has just changed right now. be aware that it exists, because some companies you will probably integrate will give you this kind of keys, okay? A dongle giving you a one-time password changing every minutes. And using strong authentication, I will talk about it, is the next slide, okay. And use of ciphers. I don't have pictures for that, but I know that it is, once again, very boring to remember every password, even if these passwords are complex, okay? This is not your job to remember every password, I know. For that, we can use some software to do this, okay? The best example I can give you is KeePass. It could take hours and hours to present you this software. It is very impressive, but know that it exists. KeePass is a software that you install in your computer, and this is a database of all of your passwords. Okay, you store every password you have of every website, Facebook, Gmail, and so on. You will store your password in this database, and then once you connect to Facebook and so on, you ask KeePass to copy-paste the password, so you don't have to type it. Okay? And of course, KeePass is a database that is protected ideally by a strong password. So you open your database that contains all of your passwords, and this database is protected by a strong, very strong password. Okay. So that's what we call a safe, a software that is able to store all your passwords. And if you don't want to imagine a sentence, you can ask this software to generate a strong password for you. You know, a password for Facebook, for example, that is 100 characters long. Okay, you don't care. You don't have to remind it to remember it, because KeePass will type it for you when you have Facebook web access. Okay, you open your Facebook and you ask KeePass to copy paste your 100 long passwords, 100 characters long password. The strong authentication. Actually, passwords are split up into 3 different groups. The first one is what you know. I mean, a password that you have in mind. And of course, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, once again, okay? Donc, a strong password that you have in mind, PIN code, etc. What you have, I mean, not a password that you remember, but a password that is given to you. OTP, for example, one-time password, a dongle. Or what you are, because your body can be a password. Okay. For example, my fingerprint is completely different from yours. Okay, which means that this is a method to authenticate. Okay. That's what I am. I am some kind of password, because my fingerprint is different from yours. Your eye is different from mine. Okay. So fingerprint, eye recognition is what you are. This is 3 different groups of password that exist. What we call strong authentication is the ability to mix at least 2 groups, which means that when I want to connect to my company, I have to type my personal password. This is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but imagine that my personal password is this one. And then I type this is an illustration of what is strong authentication. This is a mix of 2 different kinds of passwords. The one that I know, the one that I have, that is given to me through a dongle, because that's just changed. So even if you steal my key, I don't care, because I still have my personal password that protects me. Okay. So strong authentication is a mix of at least 2 groups of passwords. Okay? I think that this is the end of this lecture. Oh no, sorry. 2 more slides, sorry. VPN. So I'm really sorry, but this is technical definition, but I wanted at least to know it. When you connect to a website, for example, Facebook, okay? You go through the internet to a website, which means that, for example, this computer. How do this computer can be connected to Facebook? Well, this computer is on the internet thanks to an ISP, an internet service provider, okay? In Czech Republic, major, if I'm not wrong, ISP are UPC, T-Mobile, O2, Vodafone. That's just I would just get on the Google. Is that right? Is that correct? This is a major ISP that exists in Czech Republic, okay? So thanks to them, you can connect to the internet. And thanks to them, you can connect to Facebook, okay? But you need an ISP for that, of course. Your smartphone is connected to a mobile ISP, okay? Mine, when I'm in Czech Republic, is Vodafone. But when you connect to a website, your ISP knows precisely where you're connected, okay? Which means that when you are on the internet, you have what we call a personal IP and a public IP. This is your identification of the internet, which means that when you connect to Facebook, for example, Facebook will know that your IP is this number 193.84 and so on, okay? So Facebook and your ISP will know exactly who you are, where you're connected to, when, and etc. Security is the ability to, as I was telling you, to be confidential, to be integrated, and to be available. The problem is that if I am in university, I know that in university there is a Wi-Fi hotspot called ČZU guest. This is the one I see here, okay? This Wi-Fi hotspot is unprotected, which means that once you connect to this hotspot, and imagine that you connect to a website through an unprotected protocol, for example, just simply HTTP, everything will transit in a clear mode, which means that if I sniff, as I was telling you, your activity on the network, I will see exactly where you connected to, what you transit as information, when, and etc. I see everything through a sniffing activity. So this is very problematic because sometimes you want to get some confidentiality. For example, if you work for a company, you go to a hotel with all of your colleagues, your employees, and the only way you have to connect to the internet is an open hotspot Wi-Fi access. This is problematic because everybody can see what you do. They can see what file you are transferring, etc., what mails you are getting, okay? So for that, in order not to be seen by your ISP, there is what we call virtual private network, VPN. In this example, yesterday when I tried to connect to a website called whatismyip.com, this website is able to tell me, okay, your IP is this one. You live in Hostivice, it's just next to Prague. This is where the network of your university must be present. You are in the Czech Republic. Here is your postal code, time zone, etc. And I see that your ISP is, ČZU, okay? So thanks to your IP, I can get a lot of information. This is problematic because your ISP can see everything you do. Thanks to a VPN, as I was telling you, if you are in a hotel with colleagues, employees of your company, you have an open Wi-Fi hotspot, just like a ČZU guest that is not protected. You can connect to what we call a VPN server. The ability to encrypt a tunnel of data between you and a VPN server. So you connect to another server, and everything you exchange between you and the server is completely encrypted. Okay? So your ISP, as it is encrypted, will never be able to see what you do. Even if you have an open Wi-Fi hotspot, you don't care because you use a VPN tunnel. Okay? Everything you transit is encrypted. And thanks to that, some VPN server, that is what I use, for example, can give you the ability to be connected to any kind of country. I have a VPN server that can be present in Sweden. Okay? So when I ask the website, whatismyip.com, it will tell you, oh, your IP has changed. Your IP is now this one, and this IP is geolocated in Stockholm, in Sweden. I know that this is your postal code, and this is your ISP. So everything has changed. I can now encrypt and ensure my security because now my data is confidential. Okay? And my ISP, CZU, is unable to see what I do. Okay? Sweden is very interesting because everything you do on a VPN server in this country is not logged at all. Just for your information. 5 minutes left. This is the end of this lecture. If you have any question, do not hesitate. Even in Czech, and Mr. Havlicek will translate it for me.
Můžete se ptát na česky. Ale myslím, že tady jste všichni rozuměli anglicky.
I would like to ask if I use some kind of cloud keyring, like iCloud keyring, can it be sniffed out by keylogger? Is it counted like keyboard input or?
It depends on what you do on your cloud. A keylogger is a software that knows what you type on your keyboard. If you use your mouse, it will never see what you do.
Yeah, but when there is when you have your password saved in the cloud keyring, it will automatically fill the password for you.
Ah, yeah.
Is it counted as a keyboard input?
Yeah. Now, actually, when you do that, your password is stored into your computer. It's in a file, for example. Please do never do that. I'm sorry. If you want to store a password, use KeePass. This is an encrypted database, but some browser, Firefox and so on, store your password in its own database that is not protected at all, that is not encrypted. So be careful. Okay? If you want to store some password, use this kind of software.
We have 2 minutes.
What kind of antivirus would you recommend, or what do we do? Let's say we scan the computer and then some files are infected and there is the procedure somehow like destroy or keep them
Quarantined.
Yeah,
Actually, I would say that this is quite a personal question because I know that antivirus is a trend. I know that some people don't like Avast, for example. Some people don't like AVG, you know. There are good free antivirus, okay, that exists. But just know that in companies or for personal use, antiviruses are completely different, okay? Because when you are in company, you have different use of files, of mail, of etc. Okay, you have servers you have to connect to get your files back, etc. At home, you only use website access, sometimes mail access, download access. That's all. In company, you have different kind of access. Okay, so you have different kind of antiviruses. I would say that what is the best antivirus is not a good question because it depends on quite a trend. Okay. I like this one, another person will like another one. I like an antivirus, another person will like another antivirus. There are good free antivirus. In my opinion, the best one is Avast. Avast, because it is multi-platform. It is present on Windows, Mac OS X, and etc. And once again, viruses exist on Macintosh.
Okay, there are questions. Please. Okay. Time is over. Time is over.